Okay. Today is Wednesday, September 12th, 2012, and Neil Lancaster is our guest. Again, this is our second session visiting with Neil. Neil was born in Plattsmouth May 28th, 1920, and last session we talked about his family and a little bit about their background and his brothers and parents. And then we talked about his early years teaching rural schools in the county. Today, Neil, I think we'll jump back again to your youth and when you started school. Now, when you started school, did you live on Cutoff where you remained all your years?
Well, we were living on Cutoff when I started school in 1925 in what we knew as C class. C class instead of kindergarten. And then that was at Columbia.
So this was, as kindergarten developed later, it was a half day all year, the C class?
We just went to school half days.
Do you know what that stood for? Was it C, the letter C?
I don't know, and I can't find my report card. Somewhere I thought I had brought them to the museum, but all my report cards, and I don't know where they are. I don't think it would have told on there though either. And my teacher was a twin, and her twin taught first grade across the aisle, across the hallway from our room.
Do you remember their names? Probably.
Not really.
Okay.
I can't think of it right now.
How did you get to school, Neil?
The only way that any children went to school was they used their 2 feet. And they didn't complain either, I guess, as far as I know. Then we moved out to live with grandfather during his last days. So we had a little bit further to walk.
So how many years did you stay at Columbia? And that would have been, of course, the original 2-story building.
Yes. The last year we were there was our 4th grade. They had 5th grade that last year too, and we were transferred to the tall 3-story building known as the Central, and for 5th and 6th. Now there were 2 5th grade rooms and 2 6th grade rooms, and I remember it was sad to me because I wanted to attend Columbian school, that 5th grade, because Miss Hawksworth was the 5th grade teacher, and I did have her for 4th grade arithmetic. But the reason I was sad, I guess, was that my mother had gone to school to her also, and my 2 brothers had gone there. Had attended Miss Miss Oxford's room. And the central building, there were many, many stairs or steps in the stairway. And of course, when the bell rang, we lined up in front of the outside doors and walked all the way up to the sixth grade rooms, fifth and sixth grade rooms.
So there was one fifth grade at Columbian? Did you say there was a fifth grade, but you were transferred to Central?
Well, they didn't continue the fifth grade. Fourth grade then was the highest grade. And then after Columbian, or after Central, the tall building with the sixth grade was the highest grade there, and that next year then we transferred over to the high school building, and that's where we had our junior high grades over there. And of course we passed from room to room and for different subjects.
Okay, returning to the Central building, is that where the current Central, or which is now Early Childhood Development Building, is?
Actually, the old high school was where the Head Start is now located.
Yes.
The Central building was just a little bit north of the old high school. I don't know why they didn't build it bigger when they built it for the high school. They had used the old Central building for the high school before that, and I don't remember. Well, no, of course not, because it was built. I'm not sure of the year that the old high school was built. The new one was built in, or what I call the new one, in about 1918, I believe.
So that is the building that is still standing,
Yes.
but it's vacant now. But you did go to high school. That's, of course, where you went to high school.
Yes.
And then sometime, it would have been after you graduated from high school, that three-story Central building was demolished?
Yes, it was demolished, but I think before that, that was in the Depression years. And it was built, I think, by WPA workers, the one that's there now. And of course, they had to destroy both of those buildings that were there when I was in grade school.
Well, where you lived, where your home was on the edge of the city limits, did you always have electricity and indoor plumbing?
No, my grandfather didn't want electricity, and of course Mother wanted it, and they put it in, but Grandfather was so upset because they made holes through the wall, and he did not like that. In fact, this is sort of strange. He had a well for the water system, and he had the city water installed in a hydrant, just a small hydrant out in the yard. And that was not for drinking water or other, for because he had that put in, so in case of fire, it would help to stop the fire, I guess.
I think that would be quite unusual at that time to have a hydrant in your yard.
Yes, it was.
Especially for that purpose. What, did you have, do you remember about your age when you had the electricity installed?
Well, it must have been when we first moved out to live with grandfather, which was in 1920. I believe 1926, because he passed away in 1927. And then we lived there until 1929, and then moved back to the house in which I was born, and then lived there until 1935, and moved it back out to the Cutoff Street house, and that's where we lived ever since.
Where do you remember where your family purchased groceries or other household items?
Well, I'm sure it was the Sonicson one, because grandfather was a very good friend of H.M. Sonicson, and I'm sure that he, or we all, traded at his grocery store. You know, what was the other one?
Well, I would say another items that you needed for the household was Sonishins was a department store,
Yes,
so.
I'm sure they did that. I know it. One time, Sonicson's, well, I think probably they built the store that we now know as the jewelry store down on Main Street. That was Sonicson's grocery store, I think, at one time. I can't remember whether they had the other store on between 5th and 6th Street on Main Street. I just remember that's where we did a lot of our trading.
Neil, do you remember Bates Bookstore?
Oh yes, it was the corner of 5th and Main on the north side. And
On the south side?
well, it was on the north side at that time, and then later.
Okay. Later it went to the south side?
Yes.
Okay.
See, Bates's had the Plasma Journal, and I think when they disposed of it, then they moved the bookstore down near the 5th and Main, no, 4th and Main corner.
And that would have been the southwest,
Yes.
where the Smith Clothing was later.
No, that's a
It
block,
was a year,
a block east of that.
East of that.
I can't picture what's there now.
It's Tavern now.
It's a tavern? Okay.
At,
Well, maybe it was, maybe not on the corner either. Maybe, I think it might have been just west of the corner store.
No, I think you're right. I think it's Albo's Bar now,
Yes,
catty corner from the courthouse.
yes.
okay, at 4th and Main, all right. Now that is on the corner, and then I'm not sure what is the first building west. Yeah, they change frequently. What other businesses do you recall while you were growing up? I know there were many and they changed, but some of the ones that were there a long time that were significant